for homework 1.6, which is, half of the test coming up, and make sure we understand all of those. And then after that, I want to go over, I'm gonna look at the test, which is now visible and downloadable for you guys, and give you any hints that I think might be necessary, okay? All right, so I'm on homework 1.6, and you have to tell me whether it's deductive or inductive, and if it's deductive, you have to tell me which flavor of deductive, or if it's inductive, you have to tell me which flavor of inductive. Does everybody understand this, okay? So, number one, ray of light R1 struck a flat reflective surface at an angle of incident of 15 degrees and had an angle of reflection of 15 degrees. Ray of light R2 struck a flat reflective surface at an angle of incidence of 15 and had an angle of reflection of 15. Ray of light R3 struck a flat reflective surface at an angle of incidence of 32 degrees and had an angle of reflection of 32 degrees. Ray of light R4 struck a flat reflective surface at an angle of incidence of 45 degrees and had an angle of reflection of 45 degrees. In fact, every observed ray of light striking a flat reflective surface had an angle of reflection equal to its angle of incidence. Hence, we may conclude that all rays of light striking a flat reflective surface will have an angle of reflection equal to their angle of incidence.
Deductive.
Deductive?
Based on geometrical reason.
No.
Is it inductive based on statistics?
No. What's the conclusion? We may conclude that all rays of light, so I'm kind of saying, this is true of everything, okay, so one reasonable answer would be inductive to a generalization, okay? Better would be inductive to a scientific law, because you understand scientific laws are generalizations, right? But you always want to put the best answer possible, right? So the best answer would be inductive to a scientific law. A reasonable possible partial credit one would be no. Well, yeah, it could be possibly a generalization. I would prefer to a scientific law. And my hint was the next question. The law of reflection states that a ray of light, so you should be able to say, oh, wait a minute, what they just said up there, he's calling that a law. He argued to a law. Does everybody understand that? So number two, the law of reflection states that a ray of light striking a flat reflective surface will have an angle of reflection equal to its angle of incidence. Ray of light R will have an angle of incidence of 25 degrees on the flat reflective surface. Hence, ray of light R will have an angle of reflection of 25. What say you?
G4.
What?
From a scientific law?
Yes, from a scientific law. Everybody got that? Okay. All right. And please raise your hand and ask questions if you're uncertain about something. Number three, God is omnipotent. Hence, God could eliminate all evil if he desires to do so. Yes?
What is the definition of omnipotent?
Okay. So if you don't know, if you encounter a word on the test, what are you going to do? You're going to give it a Goog, right? You're going to look it up, okay? Omnipotent means all-powerful. Can't do anything. And if we're going to be technical, anything that's logically possible for an omnibenevolent being to do. But that's philosophy 341, philosophy of religion. So see you there, huh? So it follows from the meanings of the word omnipotent that he could eliminate all evil if he wanted to. So what I'm looking for is deductive based on definitions. Everybody understand that? Okay. 4, racehorse, you bet your britches had the best times in this morning's practice sessions. Hence, you can bet your britches that you bet your britches will win his race this afternoon. Inductive or deductive?
Inductive based on prediction.
Inductive prediction, right. And so now look, writing down the proper answer is of no use to you unless you understand why it's the right answer. Does everybody understand that? So if you've been slacking and not keeping up with your homework and you're just writing down answers, you better ask yourself, do I understand this? Because if you don't, writing down the right answer is of no help, okay? All right, 5, I have owned several golden retrievers and all of them have been good with children. Hence, I believe that this golden retriever pup would be a good choice for your family. It will get along well with your children. Inductive or deductive?
Inductive based on prediction.
Yeah, I think that's a prediction. Okay. Any other potential answers that you're wondering about?
Is it generalization?
That's what I wanted you to say, and I'm going to say no, and let me tell you why. Because I define generalization in a very particular way. You're taking a sample of a population, and then you're making a claim about the entire population, right? So it should be if it said all golden retrievers will be good with children, that would be a generalization. But it's making a prediction about this particular pup. Yes?
What about analogy?
No. Because in an analogy, we have a comparison, okay? We say something like this: A has attributes A, B, C, and D. B, and so what I'm saying, as soon as I say B, it's B is like A in the following ways. B has attributes A, B, and C, therefore B probably has D. Okay? Right? So there's a comparison, and there's no direct comparison being done here, so it can't possibly be an analogy. Does everybody understand that? Okay. So number 6. A preschool teacher who left her class unattended with dangerous weapons would be responsible for any harm that the students inflicted on each other, since she knew what was likely to occur and she could have prevented the carnage but didn't. Similarly, God ought to be held responsible for the harm that his children inflict on each other, since he knew what was likely to happen and he could have prevented the carnage but didn't. What say you?
Inductive by analogy.
Yes, inductive by analogy, right? We're comparing, right? As soon as I saw that word similarly, I'm like, hey, there's a comparison being made. And so my spider senses are alerted, and I'm thinking, this might be an analogy, right? And it is. Okay. 7, the best man at the wedding drank too much alcohol at the reception. Alcohol causes hangovers. Therefore, it is certain that he will have a hangover tomorrow. Inductive or deductive? Inductive. What flavor? Cause and effect. That's reasonable, and I think there's another answer for which I would give full credit, and that is prediction. Right? When you are arguing from cause to effect, you are in effect making a prediction. Yes?
What about based on statistic theoretical property?
Well, do you see any statistical properties being offered as evidence? Okay. Okay. 8, Frank's fence is perpendicular to the road, but his driveway is not perpendicular to the road. It follows that his driveway and fence are not parallel. Inductive, deductive. Deductive
By definition.
by definitions. I think I would also accept deductive by geometric reasoning, okay? But it's more or less that's necessary from the meanings of those words, right? But those words are all about geometric concepts, so I would probably take either one of those, okay? Madeline wanted to win the guitar autographed by Taylor Swift, so much that she bought 90% of the raffle tickets available. She will win the guitar for sure. Inductive, deductive.
Inductive by prediction.
Inductive by prediction is reasonable. I think there's
Statistical.
statistical would be better. Does everybody understand that? Okay. 10, Bob could work full-time, 40 hours a week at a fast food restaurant making minimum wage, or he could make 3 times minimum wage working part-time, 20 hours a week with his uncle hanging drywall. So, if Bob wants to make as much money as possible, he ought to work with his uncle.
Deductive.
What flavor?
Mathematical reason.
Yes, right, you can crunch it out and see that he's gonna make more dollars by working with his uncle than working the fast food. 11, I've known 3 persons who are pathological gamblers. Each of them would lie about how much they lost when gambling. I bet all gamblers lie about their gambling losses.
Inductive generalization.
Perfect. Does everybody understand? We took a sample of a group and then we made a claim about the group. Perfect. Okay, 12, mountain gorillas are very large